Okay, it being 4 o'clock, the 23rd of February, feels like spring. Let's call our Finance Committee meeting to order. First item on the agenda, any public comment that somebody might have that isn't otherwise going to be discussed today? Seeing none, didn't we approve minutes last week of 6/13? So
just went out today. So.
Okay. So do we want to hold on the 21st? We've already approved the 6th and the 13th.
Yeah, let's hold.
Okay. We're gonna take do the agenda a little bit differently than is published in the order. We're going to start in and discuss articles and motions, and in that process, because I think the water company is in Article 11, what I'd like to do is we're going to go through the articles up to 11, and then I think our only issue on Article 11 is probably the water company. And so at that point, we will have that discussion, and then we'll continue on with that. So what that means for the Contract Review Committee is we're going to do that after we get through our various motions. Okay? And Brian, I know, is on his way, or I hope he's on his way, since to some extent, or to a great extent, I am captive to his knowledge. But we have, Libby sent out this afternoon an update as of 1 o'clock on the warrant, and it should contain the decisions that we've already made, and I note that highlighted in yellow, I think, on the document are the articles where we have decisions yet to be made, or if we need financial information. If we don't have financial information, we're not going to make a decision on those articles. And I think, talking with Brian earlier, there's Article 8, the general fund article, and I think he's got some transfers and stuff like that he would prefer to wait closer to the beginning of March so that he's got accurate information. I think he just doesn't want to redo it. So here he comes. So let's just start in on, hi Brian. Starting on Article 1, which is the receipt of reports. Is there a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Brian, Article 2, unpaid bills. Are you comfortable with the numbers that are in there? Okay. This is a list of unpaid bills. It's fairly standard that we appropriate money and move it as recommended by our finance director. I have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Article 3. I lost my place. I apologize. Article 3 is prior year appropriations. We need information on that. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to hold that over to Monday the 6th. Okay. Article 4, reserve fund. We usually appropriate $500,000 for the reserve fund, which I think is what's recommended.
Yep,
We have
so
any,
now 500,000.
any comment or discussion on that? And just for new members on the committee, if we don't use reserve funds from this year,
Then it falls to
free cash. So everybody's got that. Can I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Article 5. These are rescind unused borrowing authority. This is complete, Brian? Any questions on that for our finance director? A motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. General fund budget transfers, that we need information on. We will deal with that on the 6th of March. Personnel compensation plans, Article 7. I believe this is complete. Any questions? A motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Article 8, I know we're going to hold over. That's our general fund budget, and we'll deal with that on the 6th. Just to reiterate for the members of the audience as well as our committee, this is what we did basically on the 28th on Saturday. We looked at all of these budgets, so I think you just want to make sure you've got the most recent iteration. Thank you. Health and Human Services we're going to deal with a little later this morning or this afternoon. General fund capital expenditures we're going to deal with on the 6th. Article 11, which is enterprise fund operations. This is different than capital. I got a copy of an email that I think went to you, Brian, with the adjustment on the water company. Is that reflected in?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So did everybody get that email on the adjustment down in salary and expense? Brian, would you just walk us through what the water company did on the when they took off?
They ultimately what they did.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, what they did was they removed the position that had been discussed about on that Saturday, the $70,000, and it was removed entirely from the budget at the end of the day.
Okay. So it didn't get put to. It originally was put to another unallocated expense, but
It was moved back in there.
okay.
Can you come back to Article 11, Mr. Chairman? So you can-
Yeah, we're on that right now.
Can you come back to it in a little bit, because we've got to give you the number. For some reason, the number got cut off.
Oh, okay.
So I need to do that real quick. I didn't know it was 70%.
Oh, all right.
So if you
Okay, so Article 12, Enterprise Fund Capital Expenditures. We have, in our reviews of the enterprise funds, we have seen all of these capital expenditures, and the capital committee has seen all of these capital expenditures. So before we jump to the last one, which I think is the water company and the new building, and supplemental fund request, is there any discussion on any of these? Airport, I think our island home. Anything on here that people have a question about that they want to go back over? No? Okay. I mean, I don't want to rush you through them, but we have seen them, gone back to make sure that they are in fact stuff. We have seen all of these. So,
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
if anybody has any questions about the sewer item, let me know. That's a little bit new. There's an island home item, a little bit new. And I think Bob and I need to maybe talk about, there's a Farmer Street item in sewer that we're not totally going to be talking about.
Sewer or water?
Sewer.
Okay. So why don't you take us through, why don't you just take us through the sewer and the water? I mean, sewer and the island home.
The sewer item that I'm talking about initially is the highlighted item called Costs Associated with Study, Review, Professional Services in Connection with Nantucket and Adjacent Area. And I just wanted to let you all know, if you did have any questions about it, that this is sort of a measure that we've been discussing with regard to the failure of the Nantucket sewer project to pass. So we've had some internal discussion about the concerns that have been brought forward about additional review and study that the town could perhaps look at in advance of bringing the Nantucket project back. There seemed like there were a lot of questions about water quality issues that perhaps some felt hadn't been explored enough in the comprehensive wastewater management plan update. So perhaps we do a peer review of sections of that. Perhaps we take a harder look at things like landfill issues and stuff like that. So that's what this appropriation would do. And I simply wanted to point out at the Island Home item that's highlighted there in the document that you got the other day, that item was also highlighted, but it had some funny language in it and it wasn't totally complete. So we've revised it a bit, completed it, and increased the appropriation from $100,000 to $200,000 based on some information from Rachel about work that's likely to be needed at the facility in advance of a new of the new facility. That's all. I don't know if anybody had any questions about it.
Just as a note, the subtotal on a enterprise fund for the Island Home should be 400, not 350.
Yes, sorry.
So,
Actually,
that's all right.
thank you, because that 200 change got made today, but we didn't change the other stuff. We'll double check all those totals.
So on the any questions on the sewer?
Wasn't that just something that you were putting in? I listened to last night's meeting. Maybe I didn't get it completely. That you're putting that forward in case you want to maybe do the testing in Nantucket, not necessarily you're going to do it. Or
I'm sorry, what was that?
as far as what you just talked about in Nantucket,
Yep.
is that something you will putting in there because we're still not sure we're going to do it, or just in case we might want to do it?
I think it's to look at options that may or may not possibly replace the sewer project or supplement it in some way, and look at areas that maybe this area that had initially been proposed to be sewered might change. I think there's just maybe more, though, to address unanswered questions and refine that sewer plan if that is still going to be the plan more. It seemed like people felt it was not explored to the level that people felt comfortable that sewer was the only option.
So I'm saying we're putting it in there in case we do go in that direction, and we haven't definitely decided to do what you're talking about yet, or we have. I guess this is my point.
I think the Board of Selectmen is prepared to undergo additional study before bringing back the Nantucket sewer project.
Okay.
And so this would just give you the money to do it. It
Yep.
doesn't mean you're necessarily going to spend $200,000 or...
Correct.
Guess that's what I was getting on.
And you wouldn't get underway on this until into next fiscal year, I guess. Maybe.
This would come from sewer retained earnings, so we could start before June 30th.
Okay.
And there are a few things that we're looking at right now. For example, possible dredging of the Nantucket ditch and or replacement of the culverts at Long Pond. Those are going to require some professional services for engineering and permitting. And we're getting quotes now on those couple of things. So we may be able to start some items before the end of the fiscal year.
Any questions on that? Any questions on the Island Home expenditures? Okay. All right. So, supplemental funding for the construction of a new administration building, water company, $1.5 million to be funded out of retained earnings. So the capital committee met at when we had this discussion the last time with the water company. So we're back here. I guess I would start with, and I don't, with a general sense of comment that would pick up on something that was a suggestion that was made when we were here, which is spending $5 million for a 5,000 square foot facility at $1,000 a square foot on something that is perhaps not mission critical is at least it strikes this member as being a difficult expenditure to make, and I think that I wonder if the water company and the board has given enough consideration to renovation and addition to the existing facility rather than a complete tear down and rebuild, and doing it in a way that would cost considerably less, potentially cost considerably less than the $3.5 million, and allow you to accomplish what you need, which I understand to be some conferencing space, probably some handicapped bathrooms, and the like. And I don't know what the rest of, other than the comments that were made at our last FinCom meeting when we had this discussion, I don't know where the rest of the members of the Finance Committee are, but before we go to the water company, I'd like, if there is anybody that has some thoughts that they would like to provide, and then certainly listen to Bob and any of the commissioners.
But I would just add my comment that this is, in terms of all the capital priorities that the town looks at, the administration building does not strike me as mission critical. I also, I guess, voice personal frustration. We've dealt with a number of building projects where when the estimate comes in higher than expected, there's never any consideration of reduction in program. And this looks like a rather roomy building to me, and unclear why we need quite as roomy a building as this looks.
Joanna?
What I know, Peter, you're on the committee, the capital committee, and what was their thoughts in this process?
As Bob and Heidi and the commissioners brought to the meeting that we have of Capcom, the end result was the 3 in favor of going forward and 2 were against. So that was the very quick response to your question.
One of the reasons I get involved in town politics is I look at these buildings and I see a building that costs $4 million for the town to build, and I say to myself, I could build that thing for $900,000, but I'm not building it. So this continues and continues, but it's unfortunate. It's going to cost more, but through retained earnings, it's not going to affect the taxpayer in a sense. I think waiting to join with the town building is a mistake. And we've already appropriated $3.5 million. It seems like we're going to turn around and put lipstick on a pig if we try to overhaul what we have. And we definitely need to do something over there. So that's my opinion.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'll echo the sentiments of a few members that this doesn't seem to be mission critical for the mission of delivering water that exceeds the state and federal requirements, to providing good quality customer service, to any of the other elements of the water company's mission statement. So I've asked a few times at the last 2 meetings where this issue's been discussed. I attended the capital program committee where I noted that the floor plans were not discussed. The initial review of this project from 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, was not discussed at the capital program committee meeting. I've yet to hear a good reason why the ratepayer or why the community will be better served in this building. And I think that's an important case that needs to be made for an expenditure of a small fraction of this size, let alone $5 million.
Bob, comments?
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Members of the FinCom. Since the last time we were here, As Peter said, we went back to the Capital Committee and had a very, I thought, productive conversation, interchange of ideas, some of which we have taken back and taken another look at a few things, particularly in the site work. The Commission is charged with managing $44 million worth of assets. And I would disagree that a functional administration operations building is not mission critical. It is mission critical. Our mission is to provide safe drinking water, fire protection, and customer service to 6,000 accounts. And each one of them would be well served by this building. We've gone through the program a number of times, and I'm not going to reiterate all that, but we have, of all the other building programs in Nantucket, and you cannot equate private building to public building. We are building this under Chapter 149-44E, which is modular construction. The advantage of that is, and you cannot get cheaper municipal construction because it's panelized. When you build the panels off island, you don't have to pay prevailing wage. You don't have to do filed subbids. And that in alone is a considerable saving. When the work is done on island, putting it together, you pay the prevailing wage. So the legislature gave that option to municipalities, and we took that advantage of it. Because this amount, and we can talk about $1,000 a square foot all day. It's really $946, but the fact is that is based on, our numbers are based on real numbers. We went out and solicited quotes under 149-44E and got 2 responders. We evaluated those proposals. We took the one that had the most advantageous proposal and experience with building on Nantucket, J.K. Scanlon. And we have a real number. Then we opened the price proposals, and they were low. And the numbers that you have and we've presented before are real numbers. And that contractor will hold that price until after town meeting. So we're not doing guesstimates. We're not doing estimates. We're not, this isn't a pump station. This isn't a water main project. It is a known cost. We have the cost right now. There's no rate impact to the customer from this project, to the ratepayer. But yet we're providing a facility that we expect to last for 50 years. To provide, the current one's 44, so I think 50 is a good number. And that will allow us to provide the type of service that the ratepayer needs. And we ask you to support this. We have done our homework now for over a year and a half. And to address specifically David's comment about rehab or addition, we looked at rehab first. But on the advice of local builders and architects, you're going to pay a lot more to rehab that and stay in business because you've got to move into trailers. You've got to set up temporary utilities. So we didn't think that would be very cost effective based on that input. So we then proceeded to do the new building. It's not, as part of the project is eliminating a safety hazard now with the way people have to drive behind our building to go out. So you're going into the work area. We're going to straighten out the driveway, and so you don't have to do that. Now you come in, you'll go out, you'll have much better vision on the bike path. So there are a lot of components to this other than just a building. So I'm not sure what more to say. We believe this is necessary. We believe it's just as important as a water main project. We've done $17 million worth of capital. $17 million in the last, since 2011. Everyone under budget. Everyone. So we know how to manage capital projects, and we don't put them forth lightly. So I don't know what more to say. but we ask for your support. We think we've done our homework. The commission has supported this. We have the money without doing additional borrowing and without impacting our retained earnings. Out of that, $17,350,000 has been done out of retained earnings. And as we get done with larger capital projects other than water mains, we'll see more projects coming out of retained earnings in that couple $300,000 range. Because we manage our business and we increase our retained earnings. I ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Quick question. Can you just, other large capital expenditures outside of the building that your board would be looking at in the next 5 to 10 years?
Certainly about $15 million worth. We have a 10-year program that's going to replace water mains so that by 2023, 99% of the water mains will be newer than 1940, and there'll be no lead services left, and there'll be no fire hydrant after a year less than 20 years old.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other comments? Anybody want to venture a motion? You have a comment, or you want to make a motion?
We'll do both. I think we've gone through the process. They've gone through the process of through the capital program committee, through their board, through the enterprise fund. They're using retained earnings. Like I said, I think they've done their homework, like they've mentioned, and I'd just like to make a motion to support the article and the money.
Is there a second to that?
Does it say, well,
Go ahead.
are we voting specifically on $1.5 million, or are we dealing really the whole
We're
capital?
going to have to deal with the whole article.
Whole article. Okay. So Cliff, your motion to approve the whole article.
Yes.
Is there a second? Seeing none? So, somebody else want to make a motion? Make a motion to approve the article excluding the water company's request?
So moved.
I'm not making the motion, so somebody.
Propose a motion that accepts the article with the exception of the $1.5 million for the water company building.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Hey.
All right, thank you. Appreciate coming. As you know, if you don't like the outcome of what we voted, please bring it up at the town meeting. That was Article 11. 12. Thank you very much for keeping me.
We actually are going to do, I would ask your indulgence and just let us bring back Article 11 on the 6th, so we can put the numbers in paper in our overhead.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Does everybody understand what we're doing on 11? They're going to fix the numbers, and we'll revote it. Okay, 13, did we vote? We can't vote on 13. 14. Stephen, do you think, since you would be running the show on this one, that this would be a 6th or a 7th discussion?
I'm trying to think when we have the next meeting of the building committee.
On the 6th.
On the 6th?
7th.
In either case, it'll be before the 7th. I'd push it to the 7th, not the 6th.
Okay. And the selectmen don't have a meeting before the 8th, is that correct? So are they going to revisit this?
Well, at the meeting last night, they're making a comment. I think they're kind of waiting to see what we do.
Thank you. Okay. We will tread where others fear to go.
Can I follow up on your question from last time? About
Sure.
Whether we think we'll see something from the other group? I know you've just gotten back and didn't have any, know if there's going to be some kind of product out of the other.
Apparently you get to pass the
Yeah, we have
buck.
what's hopefully going to be the final draft for the 6th, or before that. But it's not totally complete yet.
Will it be distributed before our meeting?
I expect yes, because they're going to present that report to the selectmen on the 8th.
Okay.
We told them we needed like a second.
The 2nd, thank you. All right. Yep.
Thank you.
We just met today, 2 hours ago,
Okay.
1 hour ago. Whatever day it was.
Thank you. So we'll do that on the 7th. Real property acquisition, Article 15. Do we want to take this article up irrespective of the decision on the prior article? Is that the intent of the town, to actually go forward with this acquisition under any set of circumstances? Okay, so everybody clear on what the town will go forward, whether...
Yeah.
So, and the price has been set, I understand.
So that's the term of the purchase and sale contract, is that the town's going to purchase it no matter what? Like,
Well, provided that the RTO and the National Heritage can be dealt with.
okay, that's what I was asking
Those are the
about.
only conditions
It's
on the
unusable.
purchase.
Wouldn't be
The
good.
purchase and sale, I think, is not quite final yet, so those are the only conditions that are jumping into my mind right now. But at some point, very soon, we'll have to finish that up.
Maybe we ought to hold off then. They don't have a signed a complete PNS.
Well, we can always reconsider, I guess, but we can check it off our list for now.
But it's also, Libby, correct me if I'm wrong, that the archaeological and heritage and all that, it won't be, well, they won't issue any sort of finding until 2, 3, 4 months down the road, correct?
Well, we're hoping that the RTO will be final before town meeting, but that is iffy. However, if something happens, we just don't then
Enact.
do it, even if town meeting is approved it. It's an authorization.
Should we put that in one of our comments?
You certainly could, although the selectmen, if the conditions aren't met, they would.
They're not
Yeah, understood. Okay.
If the committee's willing, let's vote it, and
Yeah,
if there's a material change,
Can I ask him?
yeah, you can ask anything you want.
Thank you. So the idea is go ahead and buy this property regardless of whether we're putting an island home on it, is the idea?
Yes, because there would be other municipal purposes.
Okay.
So we're really considering two things. One is we're weighing this island home piece and the urgency behind this, presuming the island home goes forward on this location. The other is thinking, well, Jesus, it's just a nice asset for the town to own. I guess it's hard for me to do that without seeing, if we're going to get to see some of these reports come across, it's hard for me to not think about the island home piece relative to my vote on this. And to the degree that we're going to see a little more information on that, I'd like to before I'm prepared to make a vote on the property piece as well.
So my question is, with regard to the current location of our island home, it has already been determined that that location is no longer viable, right?
Depends who you ask.
Yeah, I'd say no.
Sorry to ask the hard, difficult question.
Yeah. No, that's the answer, I think, is that some people are satisfied with the work that's been done. Some people want more homework to be done. Similar to the sewer discussion, there's always one more question to answer. So,
But my understanding is, and correct me again if I'm wrong, is that that model of care is one, not the direction that kind of care is going in, and two, if we continue with that kind of care, we reduce our eligibility for subsidy. Is that correct? Yes.
All things to be taken into consideration, whether you think it's a viable
So,
site or not.
given Chris's request that we, where he is on this, why don't we, and I'd like to honor that, so not run over you or anything.
No, that's okay. I have another question, though. Maybe someone can answer, which is, I thought without getting into the debate about the current location and looking at alternative locations, I had thought that one of the advantages of the contingent, next to Sherburne Commons thing, was that there was a piece of land bank land there. It was then discovered that that wasn't a buildable thing. Was there any consideration, does anyone know, to sort of opening up where it might go otherwise then, or what might be the next best? I guess I missed the transition to then, therefore, we're buying another lot right there, and maybe someone knows the background on that.
I think we should wait till the work group gets their report done.
So SMRT, the town's consultant on this, and architect, has looked at a number of locations, including the Wanacoma property and 6 Fairgrounds Road, and ruled them out for a number of reasons, and that report's available online.
Okay, I had thought that one of the advantages that sort of, when you ended up on that forced ranking, was that there was a land bank owned piece of land we were looking at, and it was then the transition to a third-party purchase piece of land that I missed that.
So for political reasons and archaeo reasons, the land bank property is no good.
Yeah.
And now we have this property that's in the same general location, had some of the other advantages, and then has the further advantage of being available and we presume buildable. So that's how this property came in.
And this property was run back through all that other criteria that sort of compared the...
Correct, yeah. It
Okay.
benefited from many of the same advantages that were identified for the land bank property. And then again, presumably buildable. So we'll
Okay.
find that out.
Thanks.
So with that, let's vote these in tandem. Understand that if there's a decision made about the island home that's different, that we will take a vote on this, as it appears that the town does want to go forward and purchase it. So anyway,
Understood.
does that work for you?
Yes, thank you.
Yep, great. Article 16, Board of Sewer Commissioners. Did we vote this already? I think we did. It's not highlighted.
So,
Is this the Shimon?
No,
Nope.
not yet. Article 17, zoning bylaw, zoning map change, Sherburne Commons. I'm going to recuse myself on this discussion, so Stephen, would you please?
Sure. Okay. Article 17, this is a zoning bylaw amendment that would allow for assisted living community. It would extend that district to the 44 and 48 Mycoma Road properties, which is the privately held parcel that we were just talking about. Does anybody have any questions or comments about the article or the proposal? Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion.
it's moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So that was a planning board motion that they approved. So Shimo parcels and plus infill parcels, Article 18. So this, Libby, perhaps you could, there's been a change here. I think we voted this, and now the recommendation, based on some feedback from our legal counsel, is that we perhaps should remove the language 18 and the companion, which is 19. So
Yes.
just take us through.
Basically, the betterment language was in there initially because it was cut and paste from last year's article. And it sort of seems that it went under the radar a little bit during the overall legal and other review of the warrant articles. And it didn't really, it came up with the board when they were adopting the warrant and they wanted to leave the language in. But the impact of that didn't sink in, I guess, until very recently. So basically, these are parcels that are getting added into a project that is already has a certain structure for funding. So it would be difficult to now say that we're going to assess betterments to these parcels that are coming in, because they are part of, they're very logically, should have been part of the project at the beginning, basically. So the recommendation from town council and the administration is to remove that highlighted language. It's just problematic. That doesn't mean, however, though, and the board had some discussion about this last night, that future new projects or parcels that might come into this project that aren't in a needs area or weren't ever contemplated as part of the project could not be assessed betterments. But it would require a town meeting vote and another article and all that.
Didn't we already vote this, though?
Yeah. And since I think we all unanimously voted it, one of us can bring it back to be dealt with.
Make a motion to reconsider our vote on Article 18.
Second.
Comment? Are we happy with the recommendation that's basically coming from town manager?
Yeah. Can I do that at the same time?
Yep, please do.
Okay, so my further motion would be to strike the language highlighted in the packet and otherwise approve the article with the Finance Committee draft motion, the unhighlighted portion.
Second.
Discussion?
Just, so Libby, will the language that in the original text that uses the phrase, option to use a betterment, is that just going to be stricken? So you're going to edit the text in the article?
No, just the motion. We can't change the article at this point. So the motion just will not have that last phrase there. It'll end at and/or eminent domain.
Our motion.
Your motion, right.
And that's
Okay.
what town meeting would be acting on, our motion.
Yep.
Oh, our motion, which does not mention benefit, even though the text of the article above does end with the selectmen of the sewer commissioners assess all their portion of the project cost as betterment.
Yeah, that can be, that'll be removed via your motion.
Okay.
Would the sewer commission still have the right to, even though it's not articulated in this motion, with the sewer, they would not have the right to?
No, it
go back
requires a
and
town
assess
meeting
betterments?
vote.
So they can set and adjust fees, but not betterments.
Correct.
Okay, I thought Jim had said something different. in the last
He
meeting.
did, and he and I talked about it because that was he and I's understanding. I think I might have said it too, but it was clarified with us by town council the next day. The Sewer Act requires a town meeting vote for assessments,
Great, thank you.
betterments.
Okay.
Well, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. I think we have to bring back 19 as well, since that's a companion, or not. Guess we don't have to. Okay, 19's good. Article 20, Waterways Improvement Fund. We vote that the other day.
I think so.
You didn't have the number, okay. Maintenance dredging improvements to the harbors, $332,000.
Move approval?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Ambulance Reserve Fund, do we need a number, so is that going to come on the 6th? Thank you. Just on this, I went back, did I miss the 6 full-time people? Would you just true that up if it's, I thought I could only get the 5, that they've already hired some.
No, there's always been 4 full-time in there prior to last year. And then last year there was 2 half-time, 2 full-time, but estimated to start in January. So that makes 6 people now being funded. That will be ultimately funded out of there when the program is over. So that's how we get to the 6.
County assessment. We haven't voted that, have we?
No.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. County budget, I think, given the way this is worded, we would take no action on the article. there's obviously some legal language somewhere that,
Oh, 23?
yeah.
That was an internal highlight for me to make sure that those actually were the dates we did those things.
Okay, but our motion should be to take no action because of the two votes.
Yes.
Okay.
Move to
Somebody
take no action?
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We need the bond proceeds number.
No, this is, it's actually, it is, it's just adopting language I thought I had sent. It's adopting the Municipal Modernization Act relative to how we apply bond proceeds. So we'll do it on the 6th. I thought I had sent it to my fault.
Okay. Article 25, ferry embarkation fee. We haven't voted this, I don't believe. $190,000. Is there somebody want to make a motion on this?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Affordable Housing Trust Fund, we did vote with a comment. Joe provided that comment. Joe, I can't remember if you sent it around or just
I
sent
just
it
sent
to
it to
me.
you, David. I didn't.
Okay. Would you read it? And we'll send it to you guys. Let's just make sure everybody's comfortable with it. I thought it was a good
I
job.
didn't bring a copy.
Yes.
All right, I have a copy
Yeah,
here. I've got to go to yet another device to find it.
Let's see.
Sorry, I could probably pull it up in an email.
No, that's what I'll get it.
Where are you? You're not there. Where are you? Oh, they were right up top.
Oh, we could break and do them if you
No,
want
I-
to do that. Oh, okay. The other stuff, yeah.
I got it, David.
All right, why don't you read it and, yep.
All right. Proposed comment is, developing strategies to increase the supply of affordable housing is one of Nantucket's most fundamental challenges. Over the past 2 years, the town and the Community Preservation Commission have provided significant financial resources to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. While the release of the Housing Production Plan in 2016 was an excellent start, the AHTF, needs to focus on more concrete plans to utilize these funds and explain how these strategies will increase the supply of affordable housing options for Nantucketers.
Great.
Very good.
So if you would send that,
Can I make a comment about it? I made a comment in the meeting 2 days ago about encouraging sort of greater integration between the Affordable Housing Trust and the CPC. I don't know if that's the appropriate place for it in this comment. Maybe that's just something, we work through other channels in the coming year, but if anybody has a viewpoint on that, I'd love to hear it.
Run that one by me again.
There was some guidance in the production document that you referenced, talked about the advantages of the housing trust becoming more integrated with the CPC, and I also think it becoming more of a priority for the CPC relative to other projects. I made the comment in the meeting 2 days ago that I'd love to see the CPC channel as much as it can under its guidelines into this relative to other things, and it was part of the whole conversation where we talked about creating a comment, and I didn't know if we wanted to work any of that into the comment or not when we discussed it. And I'm fine with whatever my colleagues on the board think. I just wanted to raise it because it was discussed.
I mean, I guess I would argue that this comment and this article deals with Affordable Housing Trust Fund funding by the town. I'm not sure it makes sense for us as the FinCom to direct a comment sort of to the CPC that they should somehow become more connected to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And you certainly can't, it seems to me, you can't tell the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, go cozy up to this, I don't know. It doesn't seem to me to be either the place or the kind of the intent on this article to throw that strategic suggestion into the
Yeah, I
Affordable
agree.
Housing
Chris,
Trust
I
Fund.
think your suggestion that we work other channels and
Mhm.
work after town meeting to suggest that they come not to the town directly, but to the CPC for funding, I think that would be more appropriate.
Yep, fair enough. I just wanted to sort of have that
Yeah.
out on the table here. Great, thank you. I think the note's very good.
Okay, thanks.
For those of you are waiting on the contract review stuff, we're going to try to get through a couple more of these articles so Ms. Gibson can depart, and then we will take a break, have you guys talk, and then we'll deal with the planning articles, which I don't think Libby needs to provide much input on. Is that okay? So we're going to, Joe, you're going to send that off to them.
Doing it right
Thank
now.
you. We voted OPEB, I believe. We now have a number for the Airport Stabilization Fund, $200,000. And that's coming from the Airport Revolving Fund.
It's coming from the fuel.
Fuel, I'm sorry, yes. Any discussion about this? Can I get a motion?
So moved as written.
Second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. We dealt with all the collective bargaining call. These are take no action. Surplus equipment, fuel truck, Article 36. We did not deal with that, did we?
I don't think so.
Move approval?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? No, Peter, you going to say something?
No, I was just looking at the, so we're disposing of the vehicle, is that what we're doing?
Yes.
Okay. Nope, I'm all set.
Do I have a motion? We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. CPC, I believe we voted.
I ask this every time we come to this article. Did we do anything about the money that we're spending on the window repair?
Took it out.
It's out.
It's out, struck.
It's out. So we did.
All right.
We did.
Thank you.
Does Mr. Bogran know that?
I had told Mr. Beaugrand, yes. So let's skip over the zoning and go to Article 76, which is the diff, which I believe is not going to be advanced at town meeting, so our appropriate action is to take no action.
So moved.
So could you just make it as a motion?
Motion is to take no action.
Second? Second. Any discussion, everybody under follow what's going to happen? District map changes on the Board of Sewer Commissioners.
You want us to vote there?
We didn't vote? I did this the other day.
You're in a hurry.
Would you like to vote?
Well,
All in favor?
aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So 77, which I believe is Kimball, including some parcels on Kimball Avenue. And I believe the sewer commissioners have approved this. Yes. Any discussion people want to have on 77? It's a citizen-sponsored article.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. revolving accounts. This is a language cleanup, is that correct?
This is
Or-
Municipal Modernization Act allowance where you basically moved in the warrant. We have revolving funds established now in the town code, but however, the annual authorization is still required. So this used to be Article 4, and now it's this.
And will it show up every year?
It will show up every year, is that right?
Article 78 will not, once these are approved, the only article that will show up in the future for them is the authorization of the spending limit article, which is
Sorry, that's something.
which is Article 79.
Mm-hmm.
The only time that any other ones would show up was if and when this is adopted is if we created any new revolving funds. They would have, I think they may have to, but I'd have to look, but I know for certain the only thing that'll show up in the future with respect to these individual ones is the spending and authorization. It was done to make things easier for communities.
So that's something new they're allowing us to do.
It's part of the Municipal Modernization Act. It also removed the caps. Remember when we had the probably 1% of the tax levy and then the 10%? It's removed all of that to make it easier for communities to manage.
Nice.
Motion to adopt?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So 79 is just authorizing these funds now to continue on with their spending limits.
Yes, that's off. This will set the authorization for fiscal 18 spending limits for the revolving funds.
David,
Yes.
just as a curious question, as a person who loves accounting, under tennis courts, 21,452, is it right? Is that a percentage of something? How did you arrive at that number?
That's actually, we've continued, so what happens with a revolving fund if it does not get reauthorized is the money reverts to the general fund. And so when we created the community recreation programming where the majority of this is done in conjunction with the community center, there was still money left in the tennis revolver instead of rather than let it flow into the general fund and be used, we've continuously authorized that as a spending source for the tennis courts until it's exhausted.
Great. So it's an actual dollar amount, not a percentage of anything. Great. Excellent. Thank you.
Move to adopt as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Article 80, taxing marijuana.
I think I've asked this before. Is 2% a limit? Is it the, yeah. Okay. And moved to adopt as written.
Second.
All in favor?
Can I ask a question first? Do we know of any other, are there anything else like this? Any other taxes, sort of individual product type taxes?
Cigarettes.
Not
That's
imposed by the town though, right?
No.
So this would be unique.
Well, this was part of the state enabling legislation allowing communities to do this.
So is it given to the towns?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
It looked like Jean maybe had something to share.
No, I was just curious about how you do that, or how does the town get that revenue coming back to it? From the state? Yeah. Okay.
If and when we have a local retailer operating, then they have to register with the state. And
Oh, not everybody pays the tax? It's from the retailers? Now we know.
It's not a casual user tax.
I guess not.
Unless you want to do it
That could be
voluntarily.
some real money.
If time is of the essence, I can not say what I'm going to say, but
Please.
there's a great photo in the Nantucket Historical Association that's across the street from the Nantucket Yacht Club where we're proposing our dormitory to be constructed, was a shop known as the Pot Shop. So maybe go back. Yeah.
Right in the core district, huh?
Sorry, I had to do
So we
that.
have a motion and we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So is this also part of the modernization, or is this a Article 81?
Yes, it is.
Anybody have questions? Not sure there's anybody here to answer them. But,
Delinquency list.
yeah.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, what is this? What is the change? It's just, or we're just striking, yeah.
Before you had to issue the list only once a year, and the code does say that if you don't have, if you're delinquent on taxes, then we may or may not issue permits to you. And this Municipal Modernization Act authorizes us to do it at least once a year, but we can do it now, choose to do it on a more frequent basis so that it's a more current list than a 12-month-old list.
Got it.
It's adopting it, and it's basically would help other various permit issuing departments with being able to have a much more current delinquency list to be working from than once a year.
And it's striking this language for not less than a 12 months period, so that means that
Right,
people
so
could be delinquent for a month and be on this
Right,
list.
we could redo the list every month if we wanted to.
Okay.
It's surprising to see even the number of entities on island that may not pay, for example, even though water's not here, a water bill for years and continually get their permit to operate. I was as vague as I could be.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Article 82. We don't currently have the authority, no, to set speed limits.
For certain areas, and I think that right now we can't establish a speed limit under 30 in these areas, and this allows you to go to 25.
Right. Move to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So Brian, what are we doing with Article 82?
3.
3, excuse me.
So what we're doing is the Municipal Modernization Act actually cleaned up and tightened up the language for the OPEB trust under Chapter 32B, Section 20. When it was originally designed, the language was broad enough and vague enough that it was interpreted that it was basically just a special revenue account and not a qualified trust, which would prohibit the money from being used for anything other than OPEB benefits at whatever point we would start drawing against it. So with the Municipal Modernization Act, the legislature tightened the language up, and in order to end up under the qualified trust the way the legislature intended it to be, we have to reaccept the language, or else we would continue to operate under a special revenue fund, which I would prefer not to do.
So it's cleaning of language.
It is cleaning the language.
Motion. Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So I think 84 is Jeff Allen's. We've already voted that. Libby, I think we are done with stuff that might be of interest to you, unless there's something on the real estate that you want us to talk about while you're here.
Well, the only thing I wanted to mention about real estate, and I think I tried to clear this up in an email, is that when I was drafting these motions on mostly on the citizen warrant articles, I didn't realize that the real estate committee had provided specific recommendations on each article. So none of those recommendations were ever in the motion. So the concern that came up the other day from Mr. Ray was not in the motion anyway. So Andrew and I talked it over, and we talked it over at the board meeting last night as to whether or not the board would recommend, or we would recommend, that any of the language be in the motion. The recommendation is no, because it's so specific that it really ought to be part of the negotiations when we get to the point of doing the transaction. The articles are only authorizing
it be acceptable if we wanted to include the recommendations as a comment from the Finance Committee?
You could include them as a comment, sure.
Why would we?
I'm sorry?
Why would we? I mean, based on, if I was following what Libby was saying, I think they're saying, hey, that's stuff that's just part of the negotiation later on. We don't need to sort of tie anyone's hands. So I guess I would have to dig into every single one of those and really understand whether that was the right negotiating posture to want to include it in a finance committee motion, as opposed to just leave that up to them as a strategy for when the time comes. But
The only reason I would suggest including it is it came from the real estate committee, who looked at it, who had done the diligence on it.
and
it was
that's not
just-
who's actually ultimately doing the negotiation. So it's a way of
Understood.
no. I'm agreeing with you. So that's why you're saying. So it completes that chain of making sure that recommendation
Yeah,
makes
and-
it all the way.
And as much because we asked those folks to dedicate
Yep.
their time to
Mhm.
doing this, then I think we ought to reflect their recommendation. It's appropriate not to put it in the motion because that truly would tie the hand. And if we were to include it as a comment, it would
Yep.
just be that. But we can deal with it however you want. So.
No, it's fair enough. That's helpful.
But is everybody comfortable with how they want to proceed on the real estate? Okay. Libby, thank you.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to make some changes that we talked about today. I'm going to turn the warrant over to between Brian and Erica to make changes in my absence next week for Monday the 6th. And hopefully we'll finish all this up.
It's going to be a big day.
Your phone number will be changed.
Enjoy
Thank you.
vacation.
Thank you very much for all your help.
Thank you guys.
Appreciate it.
This was really good process this year.
Enjoy your vacation.
Question. Of course, I stepped out for 2 minutes. Did you guys make the motion and approve? And vote?
We have not, but what Ms. Gibson just indicated, and you came back in and heard the latter part of it, is that our motion will be as it's written, and we may or may not, as I said to you earlier, we may or may not include a comment, but the negotiation as it relates to your specific article will take place between you and the Board of Selectmen or their designee at some time in the future, assuming that town meeting approves the article. Is that?
That's clear.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for persevering. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. Contract Human Services. Thank you for your patience.
No, of course. Did we vote on this article? We have to come.
No, we're going to, what I want to do is come back to the real estate and the planning. I just wanted to make sure if Libby had some input, we knew what it was, and then we can vote them. Yes, please.
This is Health and Human Services.
Yeah.
So
We have paper copies if anybody wants it.
So you got sent?
this has within it the grants to the various,
Correct.
which includes a small amount of money to the hospital. So I'm thinking I should recuse
You
myself.
should recuse
Not
yourself.
such a small amount. Is that commentary?
Huh? Saves me from printing it out.
Welcome.
Hi.
So, since we are recorded, if you would identify yourself, that would be
My
great.
name is Dorothy Hertz, and I'm the chair of the Contract Review Committee.
Welcome, Dorothy. So,
Thank you. So in front of you, you have the recommendations for fiscal year 18, brought forth by the Contract Review Committee. How would you like me to go through this with you?
Stephen, you're our representative, right?
Yeah, Dorothy, one of the things that I've enjoyed most over the last 2 years serving on the committee is the process and the level of detail that we spend as a group on each of these organizations. So maybe without delving into specifics on any organization, just talk about the process that we go through and the site visits and that kind of thing.
Okay. So the application process begins in the fall. And once the application process is done, we receive the applications. We will meet and read and review the applications. And then each participant or each grant applicee will come in and meet with us. And we give them, depending on the organization, they might sit for a half hour, they might sit for an hour. They are supposed to present with us their budget, their goals for the upcoming year, and where they would like to see their funding go, where their funding requests will go. The next phase of that is that I look at everybody on the board, and we designate 2 people to go to each one of the human service providers and do an interview on site. And what we find that helps out with is it puts everybody at ease, and they're on their turf instead of sitting here, which can be intimidating at times. And it also allows us to ask questions that maybe have come up of concerns from board members, and it allows them to sort of show us their daily function. Then the board members will come back to the board and discuss these findings with us. At some points this year, we reached out for financial questions to Brian and asked him to seek answers for us through legal counsel, because questions came up within the board. Once that is done, we go into the deliberation phases where we will discuss it, and we have great discussions. And what has been really rewarding in this organization is that we might not all agree on something and have our personal views, but when the end result comes out, what you see in front of you has been a long, talked-out process where everybody is actually looking at the benefit of the island residents. And opinions aren't as much of it as to how important that service is to our community. And one of the bigger things we also look at is we look at the amount of clients that are going to be seen. We look at financial responsibility. We look at their availability, and how important, without their services, what would hurt the community, and without the funding of us, how can that impact the services? So it's been a process we've been going through since October, and we just finished it up 2 weeks ago. So does that give it a good?
Yeah, no, I think that does a great job explaining the level of scrutiny that we as a committee put to each of these organizations, and then.
And I should note that after all this is done, before you see this report, or before this report is done, as chair, what I will take on is another interview, and each and every organization will be given a phone call to see how they're doing, to see if there's anything that they want to let me know that's happening before I make this report present to you. And in order to verify the information and a lot of the recommendations we make, I will go on and spend a great deal of time trying to find the backup information, that whether it's in state articles, medical articles, magazines, newspapers, to support where we've seen this or why these decisions have been made in the process.
A little bit off that topic, but in looking at this list and remembering this part of the presentation from prior years, there was one of these agencies that, and I can't remember, even looking at the names, it's not coming back, that had sort of management issues, financial issues, and I seem to remember that the contract review committee, you kind of had them on a short leash. Are they still on this list, or?
They've rebranded. It was Family and Children's Services, is now called Fairwinds, and you see them listed number 5, Fairwinds/Mentoring Youth. They absorbed Mentoring Youth, which was formerly Big Brothers Big Sisters, lots of name changes in this industry. So are they still on the short leash? I don't think you directly asked that question, but I want to answer it. The answer is yes, they are, and they should be. We didn't see a whole lot of improvement in the management or the fidelity of the financial reports that they were able to provide. The reports were late and incomplete. The management audit, which was required as a part of the funding they received from the town last year, is not yet complete. There's no draft ready to review. There's no date by which they tell us it can be expected to be seen by the town. So those are all serious concerns of mine and of some other members of the committee. Still, and even though there were requests for $490,000 in funds when we were allotted $400,000 to distribute, we still, as a committee, believe that it was vital to the community that this organization receive more money than everyone else. So some troubling circumstances surrounding that organization, but the services they provide are vital, and hopefully they get their house in order over the course of the next year. We also have, and I believe we can now share, correct, that there's another service provider who's going to come in to
it's actually in the report.
Yeah,
So
okay.
Gosnold, I don't know if any of you know the history of Gosnold. Gosnold is a mental health and substance abuse program on the Cape. It also has 3 other little entities to it. They'll be opening up. Their projected date of opening is April 1st. So when we looked at this, we had this information in front of us when we looked at this. So we know now, going into our next fiscal year, the year they'll be looking at, that Gosnold will be providing the same services with a strong history of these services and a strong history of fiscal responsibility. They will also be able to be accepting all the insurances that are accepted now at Fairwinds. And we also looked into the fact that we now have 4 clinicians, private clinicians, accepting this and in this field. And their field specialty is in substance abuse. So we were looking at the whole picture when we were doing this and understanding that this program, Gosnold's program, I think is going to be vital to the community. It's going to. They already are moving out. They are working. 2 of their clinicians are working in this school. Gosnold is working with Briar Patch, which is a pediatric group. They're also working and have been in collaboration with the Nantucket Cottage Hospital for over a year in the process of doing this, which we don't have that kind of collaboration going on with the other organizations. So we're looking forward to seeing this. We think all of it and anything that's going to go on to help us with these 2 issues are going to be major for the community.
So would you expect Fairwinds to go out of business?
I wouldn't expect Fairwinds to go out of business, but what I would expect is for the residents of Nantucket to have greater options and greater programs available to them. That's what I would expect. I would also think that the one thing that Gosnold might come to us for funding next year for the uninsured. And we also, and I should put out there when you asked this too, we did find out that Safe Place is offering free service to 16 adults and 16 children through counseling. So we're looking at more diverse field of counseling available in the specialty fields.
If I may, Dorothy, with the 2 companies getting together, Fairwinds and Mentoring Youth, what happened to the leadership of Mentoring Youth? Are they part of that entity now, or is that? No?
The director of Mentoring Youth actually retired. He is going out to spend some time on himself. But the staff, some of the support staff, have moved over to Fairwinds.
And is the thought that any of that would go by the wayside with Gosnell coming into town, or is it separate and distinct enough where?
It should not go by the wayside because Mentoring Youth is come under the umbrella Fairwinds, but it's supposed to keep a separate entity because they had some funding that came to them through the state of Massachusetts when they began that is supposed to be used solely for this program.
Yeah.
So as far as we were under the impression is, it's almost going to, my best way of referencing it would be, it will sort of be like the food pantry and rental assistance. 2 programs run under the Interfaith Council where funding goes to those 2 separate entities.
And if I could, just a crazy question. Is there ever a time that your group is not approached by an entity that you feel is needy and that someone brings up during discussion at meetings? Someone who may, or a group out there that's supposedly helping or wants to help but may not know to raise their hand?
Actually, that does come up, whether or not we're servicing all the human service providers, whether they're coming forward. We've tried last year, or in this year, we did more efforts in getting out the fact that these funds were available. We do know, we're being told that probably Gosnold, and there's another organization that's looking to come that works with children in crisis that's looking to come next year that might be coming to us for funding. So we've already been told that there's 2 additional organizations that might be coming.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And I should note that on some of these organizations, like ASAP, as we see them, we question whether they don't ask us for more. And because, to be honest with you, as an organization, they give us every single receipt and account for every single penny they use. And it's wonderful, but we would love to be able to give them more money because right now, one of their services this year, they've done a program in collaboration with the Behavioral Task Force with a woman named Janina Keene, who's come and done family programs here. They got funding for 9 months of that. They also started the Act Sober radio station. They're going to be taking on that funding on their own starting now, but they've seen and taken care of 100 families through this program have come in. So ASAP's Holly McGowan has this unbelievable passion for this right now, and she has taken ASAP to the front line on education and recovery because we want to see the hope in recovery, and she is really trying to make people understand there's education in prevention, there's education and hope in recovery. And so they're an organization, as we see what they're doing, they're very grassroots, but boy, they're making a big difference.
But you do have the prerogative to avail more than they're asking?
We are not.
You're not, okay. So that's
So we
like
can-
a self-governor.
Yes, we can only, let's say they come in and they ask us for they asked for $16,125, okay?
Yeah.
We couldn't say to them, we believe this program we see, because now they have 3 new programs they're starting. They didn't know that when they were doing it in October. They've evolved. And they didn't know that the Behavioral Task Force, rest of the budget would not be available to all the, so they didn't know that these things were going to be cut for them. If we could, I guarantee you, a lot of the organizations would be awarded more than they come forward to, but we can't do that. We have to do it only to the amount that the grant application has done.
As I said last year, Dorothy, we at the Nantucket Yacht Club, not the FinCom, but at Nantucket Yacht Club, look towards this report each and every year because it creates a starting point for us. We feel that you people do your due diligence, within the community, and it's exceptional work. And why try to reinvent the wheel? So,
Thank you.
ASAP's on our radar.
Thank you. There are a lot of great organizations actually that do come forward to us.
Thank you.
Dorothy, do you do any collaboration with the Community Foundation since they're also funding some of the same organizations?
They do not do any collaboration with us, no. I think because ours come through as human services, and I think they do,
They fund some,
some of them,
some
yes.
of the same organizations.
Some of the
I
same
just wondered
organizations.
if there was any discussion, cross-discussion, so that the monies, to the extent they can be multiplied, are multiplied, but, okay. Any further questions? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the work you do in this really vital area for the island.
Thank you.
Can I make a motion to, am I allowed to make a motion on that?
Please.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Let me see, is there a recommendation?
There is, but can I make one suggestion? If you make it, we need to change, because I just looked at number 9. It still says Family and Children's Services, so if you make the motion, will you allow us to make that minor technical change to Fairwinds for the name?
Okay, with the technical change to the name of one of the organizations, I will move to adopt the recommendation for Article 9.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bert,
Thank you for
hanging
sitting
out
with
with us.
I just think you guys, I mean, she does all the work.
Yeah.
You know, Steve, I mean,
It's true.
the workhorse, she
Yep.
puts it all together.
Okay, so now we have, I think we can go back to starting at, if I've got this correct, Article 38, which is the planning, the first planning article that's come before the planning board. So, with a couple of exceptions, I would be comfortable voting all the planning ones together, but I want to make sure that Chris is going to recuse himself on 2, I'm going to recuse myself on 1, so I want those to be voted separately. Are there other articles where members have an issue with the recommendation of the planning board?
Still don't have all the
They're
recommendations.
with the ones that they've,
Okay.
you know, we're gonna actually have to meet on the 7th, because I don't think we'll meet on the 6th, but they're meeting on the 6th, and I'm not sure we'll have theirs, so. But I think there's only, Cliff, I think there's only 3 or 4. In fact, there's one of yours. They haven't
Oh,
voted
that
on.
was it, okay.
So is everybody comfortable taking these all at once with the exception, go ahead.
I'm still confused about the one that has to do with the Richmond Great Point development arrangement, and I think it's the Daffodil Lane
Right.
article that they are still in negotiation with that neighborhood association.
So that would be 97 and 98, which would be this, Ms. Rogovine's articles.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my understanding on that is Richmond has assured us publicly that if Richmond Great Point Development does not have a memorandum of understanding with the neighborhood association, they will withdraw the articles from consideration.
That's my understanding too. Should we bundle it with everything else, or should we pull it out so that it's a standalone?
Well, they'll pull it at town meeting if they don't.
Right,
work
right.
things out.
And if Patty doesn't stand up, I'm sure one of the neighbors will.
So you just don't want to vote it as a lot?
bundle.
Okay, so you'd like a separate vote on those?
I would.
Okay, fine. Absolutely happy to honor your request.
Should we take those two now?
So 90, since we're talking about them, 97 and 98.
Well, for the purpose of moving it along, I will make a motion to adopt Articles 97 and 98 with the motions as written.
Second.
Discussion?
Could you repeat that? I hear you.
Motion to adopt Articles 97 and 98 with the motions as written.
Thank you.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Can we pull Article 71, which I am the sponsor of, and I will recuse myself?
Okay, with David recusing himself, does anybody care to make a motion on Article 71?
I'll look up to one.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Chris, you had 44 and 45.
Correct.
Okay, so I guess they did make, we do have recommendations on those from the planning board. Is that correct?
That's what I see.
Pardon me?
That's what I see as well.
Yeah. Okay, so you wanted to recuse
Recuse
yourself?
myself from both 44 and 45.
Okay,
Good,
so
yes.
please note that Chris is recusing himself from Articles 44 and 45. Is there, I have a motion to
Move.
planning board's action?
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. So, are there any other articles that people want to recuse themselves that we have motions from the planning board on?
I don't think so.
Any that we want to pull out? Okay, go ahead. Yeah?
What happened with the ones from the Holland one?
They don't have recommendations yet.
No, they recommended
They have
against.
one recommendation to kick it over to the Affordable Trust. In the second article, hers was a negative.
I thought it hadn't been.
I
It's
think
being
they,
continued to the 6th.
pardon me?
I think it's being continued to the 6th, the second one.
Yeah, Article 67 has been continued.
Yeah.
Not by
That's-
us, by
that's-
planning.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
But they did push one over to,
Yeah, 66, which is the affordable lot and affordable unit requirement for subdivisions. That the planning board has recommended be referred to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. The one on the housing size has not received a motion yet from the planning board.
I thought it was a no.
I had a no.
Yeah, he made some comments about it.
I had
so-
a no also.
I had a no on that.
I'm looking at the draft motions that we got the other day. Planning board motion continued to 3-6.
Mr. Chairman, I think that the discrepancy was between what Andrew Morse said at the mic and what was on paper. There might have been a discrepancy.
All right.
That's what I noted.
So it was no or wasn't no?
From the paper version, my understanding is being voted on the March 6th meeting.
So why don't, just so that we're, let's just make a note that we have to vote 67.
I mean, again, I don't know, I'll make this worse, but 66 and 67, this was Libby's this afternoon version of the warrant. They both have moved to take no action by the planning board, both 66 and 67. Is that wrong? We don't know.
66 does have action.
They both do.
Yeah, I got a no for both the 67 and 66.
Moved to take no action by the planning board on both 66 and 67.
And then, okay, so this has it as a comment, the reference to Affordable Housing Trust Fund for 66.
What do you just,
That the planning board moves no action, and they can vote. They can vote it, and if we determine that the planning board hasn't actually done anything, then they can, somebody in the affirmative can ask for, to make a motion to reconsider. So, it's fine.
Okay, so then I'd like to make a motion to support the planning board motions on Articles 66 and 67 as written in the packet that we were distributed today.
Second.
That's where we say we take no action.
Correct.
Well, what we will say on all of these is that we support the planning board's motion.
Right.
And if we have a specific comment that we would like to make, then we can certainly do that. So what happens here really is not dependent upon the action that we take. These are planning board actions.
So what kind of a comment could we make?
Whatever we want. We like it, we don't like it, we don't think it should go to the trust fund for further study, I mean, whatever.
Can we recommend that the planning board study this further? Not the further.
Maybe we should split them up and talk about them separately.
Yeah,
So
Sorry.
I'm going to withdraw my motion. And now Which article are you talking about? Article 66 or 67?
The 66 is the one where it goes to the,
That's the one about the subdivision and
Creating more,
yeah.
that should go to the affordable housing, I think that's fine.
Okay.
The size one is,
67.
but just to back up, on 66, even if it goes to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, it's really a proposal or an idea that's not in any particular form that could be implemented, right? I mean, it's
Right. It would need to come back before another time.
So in terms of this article, though, the planning board, and maybe that's why the planning board is saying take no action, and it seems to me we ought to support that, because it's not ready for prime time. I mean,
Well, that was going to be kind of my comment. My comment for both of these are that remember, because we discussed this when she made the presentation, is that she was not well prepared for that. Not her personally, but she had not been well prepared or coached by whoever went to give her help on how to write these.
Right.
That's right.
So I would be reticent to direct the planning board to do any work on a citizen article. It's incumbent upon the citizen to avail themselves of whatever resources are available. Maybe they're her own attorney. She said she didn't want to hire one, but sometimes that's what's required to draft a proper article. So while I think maybe these are worth considering, they should be for the citizen sponsor or, like-minded citizens to look into, and not for us to tell the planning board to look into it.
I think the less said is better.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting that was a comment.
They spend a lot of time looking at these things, so I did try to stick with their
I'm
recommendations.
sorry with Steve. I don't think we should. Well,
And maybe that's not really what I'm trying to suggest. I'm trying to figure out how to say something to support this woman and her ideas without just saying nothing.
So I guess,
I don't think we should be supporting this woman.
yeah, I haven't been given enough information that I want to issue any support.
Okay, I get it.
I mean, our fiduciary responsibility is to the town, big T town, and to the revenues of the town, and to keeping taxes low and services provided. And I'm not sure that one of them can't be enacted the way it's written, but...
Well, neither of them can be. I mean, that's kind of what we learned from her presentation.
Well, no, the second one could be.
Could be.
I'm just not sure that it's a good idea, and I haven't been given any evidence to suggest that it is. What would be the effect on tourism? Could be positive. What would be the effect on the building trade? Certainly negative. Certainly on receipts for the plus department, it would be a negative effect. Doesn't mean it's not the right thing for this committee to support in the future, but I haven't been given the evidence to suggest that it is. And I don't think that the planning board should be looking into it. I think the sponsor should be.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
so do you want to, let's break them out. Why don't we start with 66? Stephen, you want to
Sure.
do your motion?
Yeah, my motion is to support the planning board's motion on Article 66.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. How about 67?
My motion is for the Finance Committee comment to be that we support the planning board's motion on Article 67.
Just to further discussion on both of these, we're not addressing, because I don't think we should address their comments. We're just making a motion on their motion.
That's correct.
Good. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay. Anything else that's on zoning? So, help me here, because I'm going to go through the articles. I believe Article 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 46, 47, no recommendation yet, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54. No recommendation on 55 yet. 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62 has no recommendation yet. 63, 64, 65, 68, 69, 70, 72, 73, 74, and 75.
I have 75 as being continued, but again,
Okay.
I might have,
I had a positive on 75, but
we can always come back if we need to.
so those are the articles that the planning board has acted on. Some have positive recommendations, some have negative recommendations.
Can you tell me the recommendation on 70, please?
Yes.
Yes, a positive. That's the village height overlay
Yep.
district.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, 20 feet.
Are we prepared to vote these in a block?
I am.
Sure.
Yes.
And we're accurate with our numbers? Weren't you checking these off?
Is you all right?
They'll come back and set us straight if we screwed it up.
When we catch back up and if there's an issue, we'll come back and tell you that.
Great.
Yeah, we'll fix it.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to support the planning board's motion. My motion is that our comment be that we support the planning board's motions on all of the articles whose numbers you just read.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you very much. We have, and we voted Daffodil Lane, right? And we have a few real estate articles left. Is that correct? Conveyance articles. And we have, let's go to Article 87, which I think we have a couple of articles where we're just going to affirm what's home rule petitions, which I believe we have to do every year if they haven't been acted upon by the state legislature. I believe
So 86, 87, 88, 89?
Yes.
Yes,
Well, 86 actually is Michael Glowacki's citizens article, and we made a motion not to adopt it passed.
Okay.
87 is the home rule petition merger of the Nantucket Water Commission and the Siasconsett Water Commission. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. The next one, 88, is the Community Housing Bank Real Estate Transfer Tax.
Is this verbatim what was passed last year?
To the best of my knowledge, yes. I believe it has to be.
So in the draft motion, there's a highlighted section, 4 words.
Page 127.
Just right at the top of the Finance Committee motion. For affordable and workforce housing, and then what's stricken says, and related capital improvements. Maybe that was the same last year, I don't know. I thought that was added last year to make it more palatable. Now, if we're taking it out, I wonder if that's warrants discussion.
So we highlighted suggest that.
Not me.
That's the title.
The one day I don't bring last year warrant with me.
All right, let's pass on that one. We'll catch it on the 6th. Article 89. Affordable housing covenants.
If we can go back, I'm looking at last year's
Yep.
article, and it does not include the words that are stricken, so I think
so
we'll be
it may-
okay.
All right. Everybody follow that? Okay, so are we prepared to vote it?
Yes.
Sure. Get a motion. Poor Chris is trying to catch up.
I am
here.
trying to catch up on this
Sorry.
one. I apologize. This is to amend language in what was approved last year?
No, we found that it's
Okay.
actually was probably
Affirming.
put in inadvertently this
Got it, okay.
year.
Nope, I didn't get the email Libby sent today. She sent it to the wrong email address. That's why I'm struggling to keep up. Oh, there it is.
What was stricken was the words capital.
So why are we doing this again this year?
Because it didn't pass through the state legislature last year, so we just have to reaffirm all of these again.
Got it, okay.
And it'll get resubmitted.
My understanding is the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee will ask if it's been reaffirmed by the town. It's not procedurally required, but if it hasn't been done, then he says, well, your town doesn't care about it, so I'm not moving it forward.
Get a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Thank you. Opposed?
Yep.
Okay.
Me.
Make sure you get his right email address.
Was that 88 and 89, David, or just
88.
88?
So now 89 is amending the special act authorizing affordable housing covenants. Again, another resend.
I don't remember this one. What is, this adds the qualified family member exemption?
It should.
Yeah, okay, I see that now. Move approval?
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Article 90.
Appears this just incorporates the effect of Article 89, should that pass. So, I'll move approval.
Moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Is Article 90 new?
New?
90?
Yeah, I'm honestly unsure.
We just voted 90.
All right.
This just
No,
incorporates the,
gotcha.
yeah,
All right.
the change from 89.
So now we're on to some of the real estate, and you guys heard these, right? 91, which is conveyance of easement. to Verizon. We haven't voted this, have we, Julia? There's a Verizon easement. The next article is a Nantucket Electric easement.
These are the real estate?
My computer died, didn't have the letter for the real estate, but I don't believe these were articles they looked at.
I don't think so.
And they're just straight up easements. I think. You never know here.
Is this customary? Need town meeting approval for every easement? I thought it was just the disposition of real estate.
It's voting to authorize the selectmen to convey the easement.
Did they do that on their own?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I think they need town meeting approval to be able to do a conveyance of the easement. I'm sure they've
Okay.
probably done this in the past, I'd have to go back.
I'll move approval.
On Article 91?
Article 91.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm sorry, did we get a no? Okay, thank you. Article 92.
Move to adopt.
Could I ask for clarification first? Middle of that motion, transmission of intelligence.
Do you think that's an oxymoron?
Sorry.
Yes.
Oh, it does say intelligence.
Yes.
Wow.
Should we stricken those words?
Pornography?
We could if I know what to do with it actually say.
Would mean you can't send data.
I suppose we should leave it in, it being a
Oh,
school
no,
and all, you know.
Yes, I was adding levity again, sorry.
I know. So we have a motion. We
Second.
got a second. Any further discussion? Any further levity? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Article 93, various easements and miscellaneous parcels. These would be acquisition of Allen's Way, a portion of former railroad right-of-way, 338 Nantucket Road, and a portion on Surfside, and then the companion article, which would be to, no, actually, it's conveyance of different properties.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Conveyance of various paper streets and miscellaneous parcels. Article 94.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next. Okay, Article 95, which is Ms. Rogovine's articles, two of hers on Nancy Ann, Article 95 and 96. Jean, do you have the same issues here with these two articles as well?
I don't, except I'm wondering whether to accuse myself because I'm a butter.
Whatever you'd like to do.
I think I'll accuse myself.
Any comments on these? Stephen, do you have any insight into these two articles?
This has to do with the layout of the neighborhood. Nancy Ann Lane, as it's currently constructed, would be right through a number of building lots. The road doesn't disappear, although it'll probably be renamed something more meadow-like and be rerouted. So not of much consequence. They own property on both sides of the street.
Move to adopt
discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 96?
Just the companion, right?
Yeah, move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 97 and 98, we've already voted. Thank you, Gene. You can come back in amongst the living.
Thank you.
99, I think the real estate committee weighed in on this, didn't they?
Wish I could
Which
find
is
that letter.
Steve and Cohen's North Road.
Does anybody know when that email was circulated from the real estate committee?
Well,
February 3rd is the answer.
We have a email that was sent on the 22nd of February with their report on the citizens' articles.
Okay, so did we adopt any of these yet, or we just didn't have any comment on them at the time? I don't remember.
you heard them. I wasn't here.
Right, and I remember that we didn't have any discussion on any of the points that were raised, but I don't know that we took any motions.
I don't think we did.
Okay. Good, because we would have been duplicating effort on a number of these, but North Road is in here, and it is in the Real Estate Assessment Committee's report with a positive recommendation.
Correct.
So that's for 99 and 100, so I'd move approval on both.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Probably with ND and EDC having room at 6 is probably the stopping point, I would suggest, unless you want.
I think
We
we
can't
just...
get the full 2 more minutes.
I've had at least two of them ask me, we're going to be done at 6, so.
We will be done on the dot of 6. How about Sandwich Road?
I don't see it here in the... Oh, there it is.
Yeah, right in the middle.
Positive recommendation, so that would be 101 and 102. Move approval of both.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. How about Scott's Way? I know that's on the list.
Positive also, that's 103 and 104. Move approval of both.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 131 and 135 Pleasant Street. Oh, those are Catherine's. We've already voted on those.
Yeah. Also 106 and 107.
Paper Street's 108. 108 and 109.
I don't see Hollister mentioned here in the committee's report.
All right.
West Quays is,
It is?
yeah, down the bottom, Steve. Positive.
Aha, yes, okay, so that would be Articles 108 and 109. Positive recommendation, move approval of both.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Unnamed private way off of Low Beach, I think, is on there.
Yep, move approval of 110 and 111.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. 112, stabilization fund, take no action. Is the,
Move to adopt the motion as written.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. What do we want to do with free cash, 113?
You don't need to do anything, because if we're going to allocate anything else outside of Article 10, it'll be done immediately, transfer articles.
May I have a motion on 113? Not to adopt? Take no action, excuse me.
So move is written.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Good night,
6
Susan.
o'clock, it's all yours.
Okay, thanks. What made it to the end?
Committee, thank you very much. We'll see you on the 6th. You'll send some stuff out.